Well, as I mentioned, this weekend I will be headed to Omaha and Berkshire Hathaway's annual shareholders meeting. Already there is one shareholder, David Winters of Wintergreen Advisers, has been going there, making that pilgrimage to Omaha for years. His fund, as I mentioned, owns Berkshire shares. David, great to see you again.
Betty, always nice to see you too.
David, I know you are an eternal optimist. Everything, the glass is half full. I know that about you, David, but look, this David Sokol affair at Berkshire Hathaway has to give you some pause, does it not?
Look, it's an unfortunate event, and we view it as a bump in the road, and they'll figure it out. And hopefully, coming out of what's an unfortunate series of events, hopefully some stronger candidates will emerge, and Berkshire will be better off because of it.
But David, I mean, your investing philosophy and the way you've managed your fund is that you invest in managers and you invest in good management. So doesn't this raise some questions to you about what is going on with management there at Berkshire?
Well, I think basically it's come out of the way the company has been managed in a decentralized manner, and they'll probably have to strengthen procedures and change things. But ultimately, it may be, I mean, it sounds interesting, but it may be just growing pains. And ultimately, I think that Berkshire Hathaway will learn from this experience, and the corporation should be stronger and be in a better position for however it evolves from here. So
right.
Certainly, it gives us pause, but they should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it gives a lot of the shareholders pause. But David, you and I know, I've been covering this company for several years. There had always been some rumblings or talk about David Sokol and whether or not he really fit into the Berkshire culture, and that one day something like this may in fact happen, and it has. Do you question what took so long at Berkshire for this to happen?
Well, you just don't know. Things, it's hard to predict the future, and at least it's happened now. And they will clearly change the way they do things and adapt to this situation and be in a better position, I think, to make choices of how the company is arranged for the long term. So, Berkshire and every company has twists and turns.
Right.
And it's really, how does a manager handle it? And I think they're handling it well. I mean, it's certainly not pleasant for anybody, especially Buffett, I'm sure. No,
and the board itself. How would you, David, how would you want them to handle it going forward? For instance, would you not want Buffett to have an operative like a David Sokol again in that role? What type of changes would you want to see?
Well, I think it probably, over time the company has to go from what's really been, two men with a teeny little bit of capital into two men with an enormous amount of capital into a more standard corporate culture. And they'll probably have to have division heads, and we'll see how it evolves. The key thing is, Betty, is that there are some very good people at the company. Mm-hmm. They attract good people, and they'll figure it out. They've got a lot of intelligence on the board, and clearly Buffett and Munger are brilliant men, and they're honorable, honest people who've made the shareholders a lot of money, and right. I think they want their legacy to be intact.
Well, they have a lot of loyal shareholders from decades on. But quickly, David, I talked to Alice Schroeder yesterday. One of the things she said that might alleviate shareholders may be to make the succession issue more transparent, even perhaps naming a few of the candidates. Is that something that you would want and be happy with, or are you still happy to be sort of kept in the dark on that?
I think, it changes because, it may not be for years yet. So I think it's almost unfair to candidates. So, I think, Berkshire always has been a bit of a trust me, we'll do the right thing. And I think that there's a big well of trust there. And so, I think, in Buffett and Munger we trust, and I think things will work out fine, Betty.
David, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I'm going to see you there over in Omaha at the meeting. David Winters, the CEO of Wintergreen Advisers.